Welcome to Musings and Modalities. I'm your host, Tristen Stawicki. Think of me as your pragmatic shaman bestie. Join in with other high-vibe, lovely people as I unravel spiritual ideas to help create change and growth in your life. I cover a variety of spiritual topics, sharing knowledge to meet you wherever you are in your journey. As a shaman, astrologer, and human design reader, I help you understand how to make informed decisions and incorporate different modalities using discernment and your own intuition. Today, you will gain powerful shamanic healing tools you can use to incorporate spiritual practices in non-traditional ways. Whether you're just beginning or need a knowledgeable best friend with the next phase of your journey, I'm here to help. Stay tuned. Musings and Modalities starts now. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Musings and Modalities. I'm Tristen Stawicki, your pragmatic shaman bestie, and I'm so excited for today's episode. Before I bring out today's guest, I'm opening up 5 slots of shamanic healing that I wanted to mention. Now, this is a 90-minute session where you can bring 1 to 2 intentions that I work through. That could be limiting beliefs, that could be some energy clearing, and I'll also provide Reiki and other energetic modalities to set you up for your next levels. In a very recent kind message, I got the note that Tristen was absolutely wonderful, warm, intuitive, and so easy to talk to. From the very beginning, she made me feel comfortable, seen, and safe. Everything she said resonated so deeply, and she was spot on about my personality, habits, and even the things I've been quietly working through. It feels like she was reading the parts of my life I never said out loud. Her insight and accuracy were incredible, and what really stood out was her energy. And so I so appreciate those kind words. And if you would like to book with me, you can do so at musingsandmodalities.com. And now I want to welcome Tracy Poizner. Tracy is a consciousness theorist and architect of subtle systems. She partners with tech visionaries who want to elevate their spiritual intelligence so they can make a greater impact with their life's work. She is the creator of Space-Time Alchemy, a process that bridges science and spirituality using vibrational medicine and human design to accelerate personal growth and energetic mastery. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And so we have a couple of topics I want to dive into today, but let's start with kind of setting the baseline for human design, and how it acts really as the foundation for the specialized work that you do.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me how it came up because I didn't come through the normal human design door. It smacked me in the face, if I can say it that way. Um, I I've been a classical homeopath for almost 30 years, so that's where I'm coming from in my own process. And about 8 or 9 years ago, I started to get into um, sort of using the foundational things that I knew from homeopathy to do a kind of life coaching online. And from there, I just kind of stumbled onto the study of consciousness through archetypes, which really, really appealed to me. There was something about the framework of it, the system that I was learning, which was called shadow alchemy. The framework of it really rang a bell for me in a big way. And from there, there was just kind of a downloaded message in the way those things come. I mean, I'm not a channeler per se, but I really heard that I was supposed to put that framework of archetypes together with the Bach flower essences, which are also in a very tight framework. That particular brand, not brand, but system that comes from Dr. Bach from the 1930s in England, that is, it is a closed system, which is kind of rare in the world of natural medicines to have that kind of um, structure around something like that. It's not like essential oils where there are new ones coming all the time, or even flower essences. There are new ones all over the world. There are different systems of flower medicines, like energetic medicines from flowers. So this just kind of seemed to fit together. And then the more I worked on it, the more it incredibly fit together. And human design was the next piece. Like I was doing blends of Bach flowers for people, to specifically not for healing, but for expanding consciousness. That's really what I was interested in working on, sort of going beyond the healing paradigm. Maybe beyond isn't the right word. Outside of healing, like bringing you from let's say, a negative state into where you're okay again. I was really interested in the expansion piece of human consciousness, like really moving towards self-transcendence in a meaningful way. So human design is like an unbelievable um, roadmap of how to do that. And what it's allowed me to do, which I didn't even know it was going to do that, but I had this inspiration to make blends of Bach flowers for the 5 energy types of human design. Um, Reflectors, projectors, manifestors, generators, manifesting generators. So I looked up the sort of the not self characteristics of each type and figured, okay, I'm going to find the Bach flowers that speak to those challenges and put them together in one blend, as I would do if it was a live person in front of me. I took each energy type as a person who has these specific challenges when things are, when they're being triggered by things, or when they're um, being frustrated in their forward movement, or the things that they've been most conditioned in, for each type. And um, I made these blends, and then I invited people to try them because I wanted to know, like, does it actually do it? Or, does it do something, or is it just a cool idea? So I put together what turned out to be a kind of beta test, and I had 28 people in the original test. And I was completely shocked, and they were shocked by what this blend did for them, like without any sort of initial conversation between us. Just taking the blend that was, for your type, um, people were finding, 50, 60, 70, 80% reduction in their, conditioning markers or metrics within just a few weeks. And yeah, I was pretty surprised at how um, useful it was across the board. It didn't seem to matter which type you were. Um, I'll just say that the manifestors were hard to get data back from, maybe more than the other people, which is, again, that just like validated what we know about manifestors. Like they're going to be super enthusiastic about something and then lose steam or lose interest and not follow through. And that's okay because that's who they are. But it means that I would need to have a larger cohort of manifestors in order to have enough of them to give back data. But human design is um, making it possible for me to offer this deconditioning support to people who I've never met, because just through their design, through their energy type, um, these flower essences that sort of can go in and untangle, the places where you're stuck. It seems to be working quite reliably. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, that's incredible. And what I love about the human design framework and system is that it's not a personality assessment, right? It's using your birth chart, information, the time, place, and date of birth. And so it's not something where you're having to choose who you show up as today, which I struggle with when it's more of a personality assessment. It's something that's like, no, 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 this is innate. This is your lived experience validated. And so I'm a generator. Do you mind sharing your human design type?
I'm a manifesting generator,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
which completely explains why I've done so many different things in my life and why I keep, you know, bouncing from one thing to another, and why so many of my mentors over the years have encouraged me to like pick a lane and just pick something and stay there, and that's not who I am. And that I would say the one big gift that human design has given me personally is a kind of permission to not need permission.
Mm, mhm,
Permission to not need permission, to just understand, like, okay, it's a thing. Like, manifesting generators have this thing where, in order to continue generating the energy that feeds everybody, my job is to keep jumping from one thing to another according to what lights me up. And that's all that I have to know. And sometimes it will appear to be sort of, um, let's say, 3D successful in a limited time frame. And sometimes it won't appear to be, and none of that is relevant to me from my perspective, because that's not my job is not to generate success in what I'm doing. My job is to follow what I love to do, what's interesting me and lighting me up.
absolutely. No, I so feel that. And what I love about that permission element is that like one of the things I struggle with human design is when people take any system or framework and they lose the nuance of it. So for instance, I've heard people say, "Oh, I need to wait for an invitation. Otherwise it's not going to work out for me." And anytime someone loses self-agency with anything, it's like a red flag to me. I go, okay, is that an excuse? Is that a limiting belief? Like, what else is ready for healing, perhaps, or an opportunity to explore? Because using the framework as an excuse not to do something isn't how I view it. And so I just would love to hear your thoughts on that as well, and how you kind of find that balance.
Yeah. I'm as I'm working with, like, I'm not like a trained human design coach,
Yeah.
reader, or anything, right? But as I've learned a lot about the system through creating these blends and through um, working with people who are taking them, and my clients now, who I'm also now applying human design to, that particular quality of projectors, what you were just mentioning about waiting for an invitation, is a really interesting one. First of all, I have 3 projectors who took my blend and who said, invitations are coming. Like, it's been pretty dry around
Oh.
here. And since I started this blend, I'm inundated with invitations. So the first thing I would say is that, when your energy changes, the invitations are everywhere around you all the time. They actually are. The point is that you can't see an invitation, or you're not interpreting something as an invitation, which doesn't necessarily mean that people are like leaving you phone messages or coming to your inbox saying, "We come to my party," or whatever, right? It's that you can see where the invitation is in an interaction and act on it. Um, but the other thing is that the way I describe it is that a projector is someone who is built to function as a well and not as a spray hose,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, so that if you are spending your life spraying people who walk past you with all of your goodness and wisdom, they're all, you know, they just get pissed off because they're walking around wet, right? Like, they're
Yeah.
not you're soaking everybody with, it's good water, but it's not what they want. And if you're a well that people come over to when they're ready and dip in to your wisdom, that's the that's the mindset, that, like, that it goes better for everybody if you understand how how your goodness is meant to be released into the world, that someone should come over and dip their bucket, and then they are going to appreciate what they take out, whereas they don't appreciate being soaked every time they come near you. So that people seem to go, okay,
Yeah.
I get it, as opposed to, well, what am I doing here if nobody ever appreciates what I have to offer? It's very, very um, frustrating. And of course, they become bitter. right? That's what happens is that after so many repeated years of rejection, people become bitter about never being appreciated. But to stand in your wisdom and your value from a different perspective, like that a well has just as much, if not more, value than a sprinkler. You just have to know who you are.
Absolutely. And yeah, no, I think that completely hits. I know that just from a numbers perspective, most of the audience would likely fall into the manifesting generators or generators because that's, a high number of the population. So I feel like we've talked about manifesting generators and projectors. Is there anything you'd love to share about kind of the experience generators had in your study?
Um, they also had um, uh, a good outcome in terms of like numerically speaking. I mean, I got all this data back from people. So
Yeah.
I had everyone fill out a self-assessment form where I had created 10 metrics for each of the different five types. And each metric represented some or other kind of conditioned quality or uh, yeah, some quality of that type that would be difficult to overcome because of conditioning. So
Mhm.
everybody filled it out before they started the blend, and then hopefully at week one, at week two, and at week four. And then some people went on to week six. So the group that got the most outstanding numerical result, I would say, was the projectors. And I had a lot of projectors in this study. And I think that um, because projectors are people who generally have like a broader perspective, they're looking from kind of from the outside at the whole and
Mhm.
coming, offering some wisdom about a larger viewpoint. Um, so I think that that type might be overrepresented in the audience of coaches and healers. And, we're drawn to that kind of activity because we have that perspective to bring to other people. We can stand outside of them and share what we're seeing in terms of patterns that they can't see
Mhm.
themselves. It's a great direction for somebody to go who's a projector. So it may be that there were more projectors in my study than we might find in a random sampling of people on the street. Um, but what everybody found was a kind of accelerated pathway or a kind of door opening into being able to stand in who you are without hesitation, without apology, without needing permission. So the things that some people said, and this was fun, because some of these people were my clients, like were longtime clients. I mean, I have clients who've been with me for 20 years. So, in homeopathy. So some people were people that I had been treating with homeopathy and with Bach flowers for a long time already before taking a human design blend. And some of them either told me or I could notice that they had more benefit from this blend than what they got from me giving them a personalized blend, which that really validated the whole human design typing for me because somehow it was able to bypass my idea of what they needed, if that's the right way to say it, like my
Mhm.
intellectual idea of where is this person stuck, how can I support them, whatever, like take me out of the equation. And it actually went much better, which was pretty humbling for me as a practitioner. But one woman who has struggled all her life with, I'm going to say, people pleasing as a round, term for it. Um, and when I interviewed her, she said, I can't imagine why I would ever say yes to something I don't want to do. Like, well, Why would I ever do that? And she spent 50 years doing that. Like it was not a small thing to say, like, I am so sure of this part of myself. And and she was like in real life saying, I said no to my daughter about babysitting her three kids for the weekend. I would never say no to that before. I would just do it, even if it was too much for me. Someone else said, I don't have to validate my self-worth anymore.
Wow.
And like to find words for that, and that same woman just finally published a book of poetry that she's been working on for I don't know how many years. And it's like, it's published, it's done. She has it in her hand. So, like, I'm seeing real life um, examples of what deconditioning looks like, where you can walk in the world with it. The deconditioning happens actually in your body, you know? It's not uh, a psychological kind of thing. It's not your like it's not a mental thing to decondition. You have to your nervous system has to cooperate with you. The deconditioning happens in your body where it's like I feel comfortable saying no. My body is comfortable. I'm not tight, I'm not tensing, I'm not contracted anywhere, I'm not sweating. I'm not, I can feel relaxed and just say, no, that's not going to work for me and be completely okay. And I can stand in front of someone and say, no, that circumstance doesn't work for me, or that contract won't work for me, or that's not enough money, or I won't say yes to this engagement because I'm worth more than that. And I don't need to justify that to anyone. Um, so uh, it's just quite a remarkable thing that to have this, oh, like I guess I would say a therapeutic arm, but it's like an intervention. It's an intervention into the deconditioning process that allows an actual change in your body to happen in a relatively short period of time. One of the women in my study is a projector who's been actively deconditioning. She's a human design coach. So she's been actively deconditioning for 6 or 7 years and just said, this is next level. Like I've shifted some things that I was never able to touch before. So to have the one side is to learn about yourself, obviously. You like we want both parts. We want the conscious and the unconscious to be both working. It's not like, go to sleep and all like it's not like Reiki or something where Reiki is great, but where you're just receiving. Someone else is doing
Right.
the thing and you're just receiving. You're a participant in this. You want to learn about your type. You don't want to just go with your birth date to someone and then have them give you some drops. Like, I think that would be kind of lame. But one of the elements of my process is releasing statements, this is really cool, where there are statements that act as kind of reverse affirmations. So instead of like an affirmation, um, you're speaking some kind of aspirational truth that you want to believe. And if repeat it and have the sound therapy of it, going in or whatever, it hopefully installs that belief. But many people find that affirmations are not actually enough for them. So releasing statements let you kind of acknowledge the place where there's a distortion in your system, the place where you are hooked in some way to an illusion. And by announcing those ones that work for you, like they get a whole list of them for each type, and you just pick the ones that are meaningful to you, the ones that really hit you. Like this is for my tendency to feel bitter when I don't get appreciated, to fall into bitterness. Just for example, then it kind of lights up that circuit inside of you and allows the essence to go right there, because these are pure information, vibrational remedies. There's no chemical stuff in them. There's no molecules of plant inside. It's just messages. And uh, that's that allows in some way the body to really participate in this moment of deconditioning. And then I think how wonderful, even for practitioners, that your clients can like get some quick movement, and then you can go back to working with the conscious mind, and then maybe somewhere down the road you're blocked again, and either the same blend or potentially a different one would be able to move you forward, where your conscious participation is not enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I use the blend before bed, and I found that really helpful to do like the releasing statements because I do a lot of work in my sleep, and I find that I'm just able to move through things more quickly, and I set some intentions around that and some protections before bed. But that was incredibly helpful for me and really, really lovely.
Great. Oh, I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. As we wrap up, I'd love to have you share where the audience can find you and if you have anything upcoming.
Oh, sure. Well, my website is tracypoizner.com, and the blends are there and everything about me is there. The blends are also available from tinyurl.com/HD blends. That's another place to get hold of them. And anything upcoming? Well, I have a podcast, which is not strictly related to human design. I just interview interesting people and we talk about everything that might be happening somehow at the intersection of science and consciousness. That's a place that I just love to hang out in. So that podcast is called Limitless.
Oh, no, it's so fun. I love reading. It's the only time I enjoy reading the news, which is like around science and like the stuff that like those of us that have been in the know and kind of practicing for a long time, we go like, yeah, we've done this forever, but I'm so glad the science is caught up, and that's awesome to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for watching Musings and Modalities with me, your pragmatic shaman bestie. Tune in the second and fourth Thursdays of each month at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern for more fabulous episodes. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Musings and Modalities with me, Tristen, your pragmatic shaman bestie. For more powerful healing tools, join me every second and fourth Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. I cover a variety of topics to meet you wherever you are at on your spiritual journey. Learn techniques to work with pendulums, past life healing, astrology, and more. Please share the show and subscribe for more guidance from your pragmatic shaman bestie at musingsandmodalities.com.